Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark, and welcome everyone to this year's webinar. Again, we're going to talk today about the 2016 SAE Battelle CyberAuto Challenge, which is a very unique STEM event, along with professionals working on real cars with real protocols, and wanted to talk to you about how do you go about getting involved, how to nominate a student, and providing that support that they need. So a little bit about us first is today's agenda. Let me cover that first. So we're going to talk a little bit about who we are, what the challenge history has been, what's value proposition to the auto industry and to students and schools as well, and what people are going to expect when they participate, some special considerations that we need to talk about because this is a CyberAuto challenge talking about cybersecurity, so there are some special treatment that we have to put in place, and then what student qualifications we're looking for, as well as a timeline, and then how to actually go ahead and nominate a student. So we're hoping out of today's webinar that we'll be able to show you all of these things, how to prepare you, and ultimately how to nominate that student that will be a part of the program. So jumping into a little bit about us, so for those of you that are not familiar with SAE International, we are an engineering technical society made up of over 145,000 individual members around the world, focused on vehicle and mobility technologies. So anything that flies, moves on the ground, like trucks, buses, tractors, you name it, anything that's a vehicle that moves is what SAE engineers are concerned with. And really their concerns are to create technologies that better mankind. So they are giving back on a day-to-day basis, creating product that meets the needs of individuals around the world to make their lives better. Battelle, I don't believe we have anyone on the line today from Battelle, but they were the owners of this event prior to last year, and they really set the foundation for this CyberAuto Challenge, and they are really involved with applied science and technology in a number of areas. And then we also have as one of our partners the Square One Education Network, and I know I have Carl Klimek on the line. Carl, can I call on you just to talk a little bit about Square One?
It'd be my honor. Thanks, Mark, and thanks, Patty. Square One Education Network is a Michigan-based philanthropic group. We're a foundation, essentially. And we've worked in the state and the region for a little over 20 years, focused mainly on engaging teachers in innovative and cutting-edge type technologies and projects. So our real focus is in high-quality, highly relevant educational effort and practice. And with that, we have had the opportunity to partner with SAE on a number of occasions over the years to try and unite our network, which is rather large throughout the Midwest area here, and see if we can collaborate in ways that would give students and teachers an opportunity to really do something that is not anything that you would find necessarily in a textbook. So we are partnered with them to help recruit students and, in fact, bring some educational professionals into the mix. And we're pleased again to be a part of this. For those of you who don't have us on your radar screen, our website is www.squareonenetwork.org. Again, squareonenetwork.org. Also on Facebook, Twitter, all those fun things. And if we haven't been introduced to you, we'd love to meet you at some point. So looking forward to the project going forward. Again, thanks, you guys.
Thanks, Carl. Thanks so much for the partnership. And SAE and Square One have had a long, successful partnership in a number of areas to enhance the education of young people. So we're really happy to be be partnering with Square One on the CyberAuto Challenge again this year. So what I've gone is advanced the slides, and I've got pictures of all of us on there. So you can see there's Carl. We have David Shine. I don't know if David's on the line with us today or not.
I am. I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Oh, great. Thanks, Dave. So I'll come back to you in just
confirmation that my mic's working.
All right. I'll come back to you in just a second, and you can talk about a little bit about your role as the education coordinator. And
not a problem at all.
Then you guys heard Mark LeDuc introduce the webinar. He's our challenge officer this year, so he's the point of contact for everyone, and then I'm the challenge advisor. So Dave, let's go back to you. Let's talk a little bit about your role as the education coordinator.
Okay. Well, hi, folks. Hi, certainly Carl, Mark, and Patty. Mark, I'm loving that bow tie in your little picture there. That's fantastic. So as the education coordinator, my role is manifold. I am responsible for getting the high school kids, the STEM educators, coordinating the online educational experience, as well as the down select from the applicants, well, from the nominees to the applicants to the actual invitees. And then once we get on the ground, coordinating with the STEM educators and the high school and college kids to make sure that everybody is having an effective educational environment.
All right, that's a lot of work, Dave, that you do, and we appreciate it.
Thanks.
So on to the next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about what is the challenge, because I know this might be something new for some of you, but the CyberAuto Challenge is really a week-long practicum-based workshop. So this is a series of lessons and then alternating with hands-on work. Really, by and large, it's all called laboratory-type work. Students are learning about concepts of vehicles, so we're specifically focused on passenger cars. So they'll learn about controller area networks, very specific to the architecture in vehicles. They'll be working on current models. So these are not vehicles that are 10 or 5 years old. These are this year's models. They're going to be working on with real equipment, with real testing equipment and software of how to look at vehicles, and they're also going to actually be working with real communication protocols. So they are going to get a lot out of this in understanding how these architectures are put together, how they function, how to reverse engineer them, how to actually possibly manipulate them. This is all about learning on for vehicles. And so those teams, each of the students are going to be teamed up with a team of industry experts, so those professionals. So half of the teams will be comprised of researchers, of government experts, and of course OEMs and suppliers that are designing all this equipment. So you can see this is a wonderful opportunity for students to learn from basically the people that are designing it right now. So what our endeavor is and why we're doing the CyberAuto Challenge is really to create that next generation of cyber engineer for the automotive industry. Get students excited about, one, the automotive industry, and two, about embedded electrical networks, specifically about cyber. So let me go to advance to the next slide, and we're going to talk about a little bit about the history of the CyberAuto Challenge. This started back in 2012 with Patel initiating this program, and it's been going on since then at various locations. Now in 2014, we're definitely in 2015 well embedded in the Detroit metropolitan area. With the heart of the auto industry, it makes sense. The state of Michigan really is supporting this event as well. They believe that this is a great place to do it. Of course, the center of the automotive industry, and making progress towards educating students, but also educating professionals on bright ideas that the students come up with. So we needed a tailored curriculum, and that's what you'll see in some of the coming slides about how that's done. Very focused on cyber, very focused on electrical engineering. So this is a program that's interdisciplinary, so there's elements of both electrical, mechanical, and computer science, and some math. This is a very unique program. It's not just one particular physics or technology. It's a broad brush that's required, that you're going to need a broad understanding to be able to work in the embedded electrical networks in cars in the future. So this year, I'm happy to say that we are hosting it at Macomb Community College. The president of Macomb Community College really wanted to have the CyberAuto Challenge there at their facility, and we are holding it the last week of July. So this is a good timing, we felt. It's been in July and August. Good timing from the aspect of students are done with school, the regular normal school year, but also getting ready to start school again. So it's kind of in that sweet spot of getting them prepared and back into the studies. So the value proposition. Value proposition for the automotive industry, because we get tremendous support from OEMs and suppliers, is really it raises the awareness of the automotive cybersecurity issues. I believe if you picked up the paper today or read in the news, any given day, you'll see that there's a lot of chatter about cyber security, in particular how cars could be assessed or addressed in there. And this is really to their credit that the OEMs and the supply base in the industry are supporting this event, because they feel it's very worthwhile to educate the new folks coming into the industry on cybersecurity issues and create that next generation of cyber engineer. Also, it's a cooperative relationship building among students and industry, government, and academia, really fostering those mentoring protege relationships. So when a student walks away, or even actually any team member walks away from this event, they are going to begin to build their professional network or add to their professional network by being involved. Also in workforce development, I mentioned that just a moment ago about creating the next generation. It really exposes, this event really exposes high school and college students to really the high-tech careers in the automotive industry. In the past, the automotive industry maybe have been focused on mechanical, but that convergence of electrical and mechanical overlaid with software is now much bigger portion, if not the largest portion of the work and the thought process that engineers have to think about for designing cars. This also generates some opportunities for the current auto engineer that comes to the event, because what we see, and I know Dave Shine, you could chime in on this, is that the professional actually walks away with some new nuggets, because the younger students, the young professionals and the students look at it and say, well, I would have done it a different way, or I see it a different way, and
oh, absolutely,
right,
absolutely. The younger participants, it's really fascinating, because they haven't spent so much time already learning the techniques and learning what other people have already done to get technology to this point. They look at something and they're applying a very different approach to it, as of course you as teachers have seen. And not only is that really intriguing to the automotive industry folks and the security folks, that's intriguing to them in terms of a hiring perspective, and saying, hey, we want to work with these kids before they get tainted by the industry, or before they get taken up by the industry.
Right, or attracted, or possibly attracted by a different industry.
Right.
So it's definitely an opportunity for students and employers to talk with one another, whether it be internship opportunities or future employment opportunities. Thanks, Dave, for jumping in on that. So what to expect? So what should students and professionals, those that are on the teams, expect while they're at the CyberAuto Challenge? Is, again, real vehicles, real problems. There is some online preparatory work that students and professionals actually have asked us that they would want to take as well, to get them up to speed on some basic fundamentals like cryptology and some circuit design, some computer science, some coding, those kinds of things. So that's, and I'll go through that in a little bit more detail later on in the presentation, where we'll talk about that timeline of when those online courses will need to be completed. But it's a 5-day long camp. So it starts on Sunday afternoon with a meet and greet, and then it runs through noon on Friday. So it is a long, intensive program. We use current cars, like I mentioned, and the OEMs bring those cars, and the OEMs or the engineers come with those cars. So they are deeply involved in all of it. And the teams are composed of those professionals from the OEMs, the suppliers, those that make the parts and that integrate the parts into vehicles. They're part of the teams. Government folks from groups like the DOT, our NSA, NHTSA, all these other government agencies, FTC, FCC, you name it, they're all interested in cyber, and they're certainly all interested in vehicles because of the connected car and what that's going to bring to the industry. And then, of course, we have researchers, those folks that have done assessments in hacked vehicles. They are actually on teams as well. So that's an interesting mindset that they bring. And as well as educators. Every team has a STEM educator on the team, and then we also have facilitators on each team. On Tuesday, we take a break, so we do a lot of instruction on Monday all day, but on Tuesday afternoon, we actually take a break and go to a local destination. In the past, we've done like the Henry Ford Museum. We've gone to General Dynamics Land Systems and looked at their cyber range, did some exercises over there with tanks and turrets and those kinds of things. So we give the students an idea of what else is out there that's relevant for them. And then on Thursday, we do a full day, 24-hour actual challenge where they come up with a project and they try to assess the vehicle in that way. And that's a 24-hour. And it was my first one last year, and I think I only made it to 3 a.m. I know, Dave, you probably made it the whole time.
Yeah. Well, we have we rotate a team through to make sure that there's productivity until the participants decide that they're done.
Right. So that environment I was just mentioning, so this environment's very immersive. It maximizes the group interactions. Like I mentioned, there's a little bit of classroom, but most of it's next to the car, talking about things, showing what's going on within the environment of the vehicle. We really make it focused on learning, really focused on the collaborative nature of learning, not just from the instructors, but from the professional team members and the students, basically teaching sometimes professionals in a different way of thinking, a different view of how to see things. And we do provide basic instruction, and that's in the beginning on these online courses as well, and through what Dave described, continuously facilitate, get the students ready, and then once they're on site, he and his team are working with them to continue to keep them engaged and keep them focused on learning new things. So continuing on with the environment, there are about 16 members on each team. We have a split of 50% students, 50% professionals. Half of the students are high school and half of the students are college. That's our goal. Sometimes maybe there's one or more of the other because we get highly qualified students. We don't want to decline anyone that's super motivated and super capable. So if we go up by one or two, we're good with that. We're not hard and fast with that. We're very flexible. Our automotive OEM engineers, there's 2 or 3 per vehicle on there, so definitely knowledgeable professionals that are helping with facilitating the learning of the students, and also 1 or 2 of the supply base, the suppliers that actually contribute these systems. So potentially on one particular vehicle, we could have a supplier of the infotainment, of the head unit, the audio unit, and we could have another supplier that actually is bringing, let's say, the safety equipment. So you can see that the students will have definitely an opportunity to interface with engineers from multiple disciplines in multiple responsibilities of the vehicle system. And then, like I mentioned, we'll have government folks that will be on the vehicles as well. And that really brings kind of a policy and a different perspective to the team, not just the engineering, how are things done, but more of like why are some things done, why we are concerned about safety, and how these things can create a safe environment for passengers and occupants and drivers of vehicles when they actually use these systems on the roads today. And then we have a STEM educator that is on a team. We have, I mentioned the white hat hackers, there's the researchers, and a facilitator. So it's really a diverse team, and it's very, when students leave, they come away with wonderful relationships that they've built, not just among themselves, students, but really with professionals, and helps jumpstart their network for the future. So here's our week. For those that are on the screen, I'm showing what kind of just the general week-long schedule is, where we arrive on Sunday. We have a series of courses that were hands-on courses and lectures on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then Thursday we go right into the 24-hour challenge. And then on Friday, the teams will present, so students will do presentations about what their project, what their goals were, what they achieved, what possibly some things that they had challenges with, and then how that might be overcome in the future. Then we have a little graduation, and that's where family members and others can attend and celebrate with students the completion of the week. And so what's the cost for students to participate? That probably was on the top of your minds. It's free. Students, we pay for students' meals, lodging, and local transportation. What we're asking is that students get to Detroit, either get to the airport or to Macomb Community College. But if they land in Detroit, we will pick them up and get them to Macomb. And we provide the housing, so we will be at Wayne State University at the dorms there, and we will shuttle them back and forth between the community college and the dorms every day. Provide meals, like I said, provide transportation to any off-site events that we have on Tuesday afternoon. All of that's taken care of. So we wanted to make it very easy for students. We wanted to make that no economic barrier to them to participate. They just need to get to Detroit, and we'll take care of them. Selection is merit-based. I mentioned earlier about the pre-course work. So there's a couple of things that they have to accomplish. One is do the coursework and basically get the top grades, evaluations in that coursework. And Dave Shine and his team will do that evaluation. And then we also do an ethical evaluation. So we look at their Facebook pages. We look at what they're doing on social media and looking for that sound character. So those are really the two performance indicators for our selection process. I don't know, Dave, did you want to make any comments on that?
Sure. It's I mean, just as with any other course, we're basically looking for the strongest performers in the topics. We want to make sure that they've got a grasp on these essential skills that they're going to need in order to be successful on the ground. Those are a basic understanding of automobiles, a basic or intermediate understanding of the type of network that is involved in car electronics, a basic understanding of Unix computing, which is, of course, the foundation of Linux computing. We do use that on the ground, as well as a couple of other items. Do our other participants have any questions about that, or do we need to?
Well, we'll take questions at the end. If
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah,
Not a problem.
If any of you are on the phone that have questions, we want to jot those down right now, and we'll open up the mics at the very end. Thanks, Dave. And so parents are welcome in basically a couple of occasions. parents can accompany their student on Sunday during the registration time to drop them off. And it's a couple-hour window there that they can spend with us if they want to feel comfortable talking with the STEM educators or the SAE staff. And then on Friday, during the graduation, as I mentioned. So very welcome to come to graduation, the lunch, and of course we'll be looking for RSVPs there so we can plan, make sure we have enough meals on hand. But really, the parents are welcome at the bookend, I'll call it, of the camp, and not during the week. So the students are definitely very busy and very immersed in the whole program, Monday through Friday at noon. So let me switch gears. That was what to expect for during the challenge, what the students can expect. Let me switch gears for just a moment and talk about cybersecurity, our special consideration. So this is something that students might not have been exposed to yet. This would be the first time, which is a good experience to have in this kind of environment, because this is like, you know, walking the tightrope with a nice net underneath. We do need to have all the students, and for those that are minors, have their parents sign non-disclosure agreements. So these are simple agreements. The simple agreement basically says what happens at challenge stays at challenge. So we're asking them to sign a piece of paper that says you're not going to post anything on Facebook or Twitter or on any social media. We're not going to talk about, we will not identify makes or models of vehicles, nor identify any of the automakers that are involved, and no mention of other students' names or schools, and we're not going to discuss any specific technical discoveries during the course of the challenge. So this sounds a little scary, but this is basically a good experience for them in understanding that there is IP, intellectual property of these automakers involved, there's reputation involved. We want to maintain the automotive industry's reputation and preserve their support. And one of the ways to do that, the OMs have expressed to us that they would like to make sure that all of the details of what goes on stays within the challenge. Okay. So with that, there was a lot of nots or do nots in that about, well, you know, do not say this or that. But what could students share about the Challenge Week? Because we want them to share that this is a wonderful experience, more than just that. We want to they should be able to share that they've developed an understanding of security approaches, especially for cyber physical systems, which are different than internet or enterprise systems. So this is a very unique skill or unique understanding that they're actually going to come away with. They're actually going to increase some of their technical skills because they're going to learn about CAN protocols and programs. They're actually going to, this isn't about, they're going to understand the theory, but they're actually going to put it to use. So this is a big, I'll say a big item on their resume that they can use, is that they're actually taking concepts and actually putting them into real world applications. They're going to develop some project management skills because we're going to be asking them to plan a project and plan an approach of how to go in and assess a vehicle. And they are going to experience time constraints. There's only so many hours that we're going to allow that to happen, and they only have so many resources, so they're going to have to think a little bit out of the box about how to get things done. So pretty much real life, looking to kind of experience some real life situations. They're going to be teamed with other engineers in that environment. They're going to have to work through, people have different approaches, and they're going to have to learn to work as a team, developing those relationships, as I mentioned. So they're actually going to be able to say that, hey, I'm a community of interest. I'm a part of the automotive cyber community when they graduate. They're actually going to be able to say, hey, I participated in a very unique event, only one of its kind in existence, and that they graduated. And they also can talk about that they have great, you know, their schools represented at the CyberAuto that they can say that they've been about coming away from the challenge. I'm not worried about having to worry so much about what they can't say. I don't know, Carl, I don't know if you're still on the line with this, and if you heard some of that, I don't know what else maybe you can chime in about what you experienced, at least your students last year.
Well, absolutely. You know, Patty, one of the things that I think as educators we're all trying to do on a number of levels is help kids not only understand the relevance of their education, but the opportunities that exist out there if they pursue them. They have to take the initiative to do that, and I think the CyberAuto Challenge is one example of how that occurs. But importantly, I think what we saw from the students and interestingly our teachers that we've been involved with is it creates that very unique differentiator. You know, we want to have kids who, because of the work we've all done collaboratively, that on their resume or their application for a job or a 2-year degree or a 4-year degree, the reviewer of that resume comes down and says, CyberAuto Challenge, what's that? And now the kid has a chance to say, oh, it was a very specialized program that I had a chance to participate in cybersecurity and engineering, and I worked with real engineers and did this and did that. It is clearly an item that becomes a differentiator for our students. So to the educators that are out there, you know, even the application process to get involved in it and give it a shot is a great opportunity, and especially when kids get to the point of, as Patty just alluded to a few moments ago, when she says, it's a non-disclosure agreement, and yes, we're looking at your Facebook page, and yes, we're looking at your Twitter feed, and yes, we're looking at your Instagram account. Some kids are gonna, their eyes are gonna get really big at that moment and go, what do I have on those pages? And even if it causes kids to question that, it's a good thing. So from our experience, the students who went through it, the ones that I had a chance to catch up with afterwards, absolutely loved it, because you don't get much more real than signing a non-disclosure agreement with professional organizations like SAE, Battelle, Square One, et cetera. So fabulous opportunity, many, many, many educational value points beyond just the experience itself.
Thanks, Carl. So what are the students' qualifications? So let's move into that segment of our discussion. Is we are looking for high school juniors and seniors, so those that are 16 and older, so 16 years in this year. So if their birthday, let's say, is in September, ours is in our program's in July, that's okay, as long as they're 16 within this calendar year. And then of course college and university students we're looking for. So they have to be highly self-motivated, as Carl even alluded to too, is got to show that they have the initiative. Strong ethical character, that's where we're going to be looking at those social media sites. And their interests, they have to have a high interest in science, technology, and math. It doesn't have to be specifically mechanical or electrical engineering or computer science, but we are looking for that high interest, though, in the STEM programs. So our goal is that we're looking for at least 30 students in Michigan to apply. We'd like to have more. Of course, we'd like to have ones from all over the country. But we have been, state of Michigan has always put the challenge to us, the CyberAuto Challenge, is to really to bring in about half of the students from Michigan. So those on the phone, if you're from Michigan, love to have you nominate more than one student. As we talked about, the selection is merit-based, based on their performance in their courses, the pre-coursework and the ethical evaluation. And then Dave Shine and his team are going to do the down select. So he's going to down select for those top students. And the typical rate that we've seen in the past is about 50%. So if there's about 100 applicants, we'll have to down select even further than that. Because what we'd like to see is about final numbers we're looking for is between 30 and 40 students total. Because that's how many cars we have. As we get more cars committed, so we already have OEMs committed to vehicles. So right now, it looks like we have 4 vehicles committed. I'm working on getting 2 more. So we may end up having 6 or 8 vehicles. So that would open it up to more students. But that's our goal right now is at least 30 Michigan applicants and a final number between 30 and 40 of the final down-selected students. So we did talk a little bit about the benefit for the students that are not selected, because if we have a 50% run rate or selected rate, half of the students would not be able to participate. But as Carl mentioned, they're still getting value out of the pre-coursework and just going through the process, learning the fundamental real-world concepts, learning about programming fundamentals, and learning about the special, unique aspects of the cyber-physical system of automotive electrical architectures. So they are going to learn those basics and have that deeper connection between their classroom courses and the real world of how they apply that content. And also from a perspective of the industry, they'll have a higher awareness of what those high-tech careers are available to them in automotive, which is really an emerging new field for the automotive industry. And also competitions are valuable experiences, just to be noted in general that you went through the process and applied and took the initiative to apply and try to go through the process. So there is benefits for students even if they're not not selected to actually join us in person. Now I will say that we have students that possibly weren't prepared the first time, but they've come back the second time and were over the top prepared. So just because they're not selected this year, maybe for whatever reasons, they weren't able to finish everything, they could try again the following year. What we're looking for is just highly motivated, curious students to get involved. So how to nominate a student? So we've said what we're looking for is yourselves on the phone to spread the word, nominate students that you know of, and tell people about that we're looking for students. It's a simple email to cyberautochallenge@sae.org. That's on our website as well. That basically attests to the candidate's strong ethical character. Want you to include the student's name and contact information, especially email, so we can reach back to them, and indicate your relationship to your nominee. So are you their teacher, their coach, their pastor, school administrator, however your relationship is. And please include your school and institution's name and address, because we want to be able to give credit to where we're getting our nominees. Okay, I think we haven't tracked that well in the past. I know that the governor of Michigan has asked me that, where some of the nominees came from. I'd like to be able to exceed his expectations this year in being able to tell him where all those nominations came from. And please include your name and contact information as well. What we're doing is we're seeking those nominations now through March the 21st. So this is the beginning of our campaign to do that. One aspect of it, many of us, myself and Dave Shine on the phone, and Mark and others, are actually going and visiting various schools and universities and colleges in person, but we're also doing this informational webinar because we know that in some cases people aren't available to see us in person. So here's the process timeline, kind of a busy chart, but we wanted to make sure we had this available to everyone. Gives a brief description of what the challenge is about, what we just went through, what we just covered in the material, and then what the student nomination criteria is, looking for those high school juniors and seniors and college students, and also how to nominate the student, the email address, what things we want included in the email. And then the timeline showing that we're doing student recruitment right now through March 21st. And then March 21st to April 15 is where we'll open up the enrollment, where the students will need to go online, do a little bit of tell us who they are, and then that's where we'll start our ethical reviews of the social media and the like from there. So we'll be able to look at those Twitter feeds and those types of things that they might be. We'll follow them for a little bit. And then between the April 15th through May 12th, about a month there, on that time frame is when we're going to be asking them to complete all those online pre-work courses. And then all of the down select process will happen shortly after middle of May, and then we'll do all the invites in early June and have all those, go through all the administrative pieces of signing the NDAs and the co-signing for minors and those kinds of things. And then, of course, the challenge starts with arrival of the students on Sunday, July 24th at Macomb Community College. So with that, we're going to open up for questions now, Mark. So Mark is opening up the line now, unmuting. So if anyone has a question, any comments, Dave or Carl? Maybe that's something that you could clarify or any add to the information.
I feel pretty good so far.
Great.
Yeah, Patty, this is Carl, and to anybody on any of the potential educators and school leaders on the line. As Patty was mentioning, this is such an incredible opportunity, but what I think we're learning is a lot of school leaders don't realize the tremendous career opportunities that are available in the automotive space. The cybersecurity, of course, is never going to not be a job opportunity. It's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So with what we're trying to do in our schools to get kids ready for the quote-unquote real world, this is very, very real world. So, even just looking it over, giving it a shot is well worth the effort, and having your students realize the incredible value that can come from this. This could literally be a very well-paid job for a very long period of time.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Carl. This is Dave Quinton-Shine here again. I was actually just talking to my students when I was advertising the program to them to see if they are interested in being nominated. And one of the comments that a couple of the kids made, they said, well, I've never really thought about a career in automotive anything. And I said, well, that's, unfortunate, but it makes a lot of sense. But what we need to realize, and what a lot of our students don't yet realize, is how many different, even beyond what we're doing with the vehicles, how many different jobs of different backgrounds are involved in getting an automobile to the floor, to the customer. Everything from we need artists, we need engineers, mechanical engineers, electronic engineers, electrical engineers, materials science, color science, all kinds of weird, fun, exciting things. And even if you've got a kid who's maybe not necessarily focused on the traditional concept of an automobile in terms of they're not a gearhead, nor are they necessarily bits and bytes like what we're targeting with this, if they've got competency in these fields and they can get there and they can get that in and they can see how their existing interests can be applied in the automotive industry, they can see very easily that they could have a future. For some of them, even right out of high school. If you've got students who are, maybe brilliant but not necessarily college-bound, there's no reason that we shouldn't have them playing with us, because there's not necessarily a requirement to have a college degree to help us save the world.
Well said, Dave. Thanks. And to tag on to that, at the conclusion of last year's CyberAuto Challenge, I asked the 30-some students a couple of questions. One question I asked was, was how many of you had considered a career in the automotive industry before you came to the challenge as you were coming in for the week. And 2 of them raised their hands. Now, I knew these 2 before because they were sons and daughters of a couple of automotive executives. So I figured they probably would raise their hands saying they would consider, thought about a career in automotive. But when I asked the next question, which was, now after you've experienced the CyberAuto Challenge, would you consider a career in automotive? And every single one shot up that raised their hand with enthusiasm. And I talked to a few of them afterward, and many of the comments were about, I didn't know how complex cars were. I thought cars were engines with dust covers on top of them. And that's not true at all. They're telling me it's really complex, system-oriented type of work, and that got them really excited because that meant that they didn't have to spend time on one particular concept. They could actually explore a whole picture of different technologies that they hadn't thought about before. So essentially they were unbounded about what experience they could go or what direction they could go in their careers. So with that, any other questions? I don't hear any, so I will respect our time and say thank you to everyone that was on the phone call today. And I'm hoping that you will nominate a student and help us to spread the word to have more students involved. And if you'd like more information, you can email CyberAuto Challenge, all one word, at SAE.org, and Mark LeDuc will be happy to answer all of your questions and get you involved. Thank you, everybody.